Hello, America. It's time to check the nonsense at the door, clear the cobwebs between your ears, and have a rational-ish conversation. This is the lost art of common sense.
That's right, America. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Josh.
And this is the lost art of common sense, your new shadow band podcast and what do we call this? Video podcast as well, I guess?
Video podcast as well.
Yes. So, just seemed like, I don't know, maybe a bunch of you guys have stopped listening to us. I totally get it. Or maybe you didn't know maybe you didn't have I don't know, a notice that we were on the air or we did a podcast last week. We did. It was on January 6th. Check it out. It was fantastic.
Epic.
So there's things we said that probably got us, I don't know, I don't know if it's in trouble, but.
I don't know. I just know our viewership is way down and it doesn't make any sense. So I feel, and the only explanation I am willing to accept is we're being shadow banned.
I absolutely agree with that. I believe we are. So to make sure you do know when we are uploading new videos or podcasts or, shorts or whatever we got to do, make sure to like, follow, subscribe, comment,
share.
All that. Share for sure. If you think somebody will like us, even if they don't know us, definitely share because we're smart and people should listen to us. So
if you want to save the world.
Well, Josh, let's get this show on the road. We are doing basically government malfeasance. Maybe airing our grievances out to the government, what we think's bad about it, what we don't like about it, certain things that have happened lately that we believe are kind of dick moves, I guess would be a good way of putting it. So Josh, our government has turned into more of a hierarchy, more of a do as I say, not as I do type of thing, instead of something that is of the people for the people. Is this something that's happened recently, or is this basically how it's always been and maybe no one really noticed until now?
Well, it's gotten worse lately. I mean, I think people in power have always gotten away with shit, but like even if you go back to like Woodrow Wilson and stuff like that, and there's been other presidents that are just, I mean, what was it? Roosevelt threw people in prison. I mean, we haven't gotten that bad again since then. Completely. Well, they weren't prisons; they were concentration camps.
Yeah, are you talking about Franklin D. Roosevelt?
Franklin D. FDR.
Not Teddy, not the bear fighter.
Not the bear fighter. FDR. Everyone and I remember in school we learned that he was like this great president. He was a piece of shit. He was probably one of the worst presidents we ever had. But it's always been there. People in power, this isn't what the country was founded on. I mean, they wanted literally after they won the Revolutionary War and they got out from underneath the king, they wanted to make George Washington the king of America. And because he apparently was a stand-up guy, said, no, we're doing the president. That's the way we are. And it's gotten way out of hand, and that's just human nature. I mean, you get a group of assholes that think that they can, they know better than everybody else, and they just keep taking power. It's just, even back in the day, I don't think it's been as bad and widespread as it is now, though. Like it's getting pretty bad, and it's like there's I don't know, maybe a handful of people in Washington that actually give a shit. So, I mean, I don't know. It's not new, but I think it's as a whole and a threat to the country. I think it's worse now probably than it ever has been.
I agree. I think there's a lot of self-absorption when you get, I don't know if it happens when you get elected or if it's, maybe you just have to be a cynical or what is that, narcissist to even run for office, I guess. I mean, I'm sure some people do it for the actual, their agenda. Maybe they have a passion, actual passion to help people. But I think a lot of these people we elect anymore are narcissists that do it for, I don't know if it's fame or, self absorption, to where they just want to feel powerful or they want to be powerful. They don't really care about the normal person, the blue collar guys, us, people who are living, you know, on paycheck to paycheck or with, savings, but not, we're not rich by any means. We are just a couple normal guys, just drinking beer, talking shit. So I don't think they look out for us anymore as much as they do for self interest, as you said.
No, nobody does. I mean, Democrats gave up on middle class a long time ago, other than trying to get the middle class to be on the government teat. And then, like, I would say, like, the Republican Party as a whole in the country has become the party of middle class, but the leadership hasn't, at least not the leadership that's been in there. And if you've noticed, all the real good Republican congressmen, senators, stuff like that, it sucks because I want term limits, but we don't have them right now. But they kind of term limit themselves and retire, and it's like, oh, I want to make way for someone else, blah blah. It's like, but the assholes that screw everything up are just there to get rich and gain more power, are the ones that never leave.
Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, that. Oh man, that. You think he would have made enough money from that movie Hannibal that he wouldn't have to be in Washington anymore. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The guy in the wheelchair gets his face eaten off
Yeah.
by hawks. Looks just like him. Talks like him too.
He does. That's exactly what I pictured when you said that.
I'm just saying. I mean, he saved that movie company a lot of money. They didn't have to do any makeup.
No, just put Mitch in the chair and he's like, just rolls around and, he just had to memorize a few lines. He does that anyways. I think the Republican Party is more for the middle class and even for the low income than the Democratic Party. There's going to be people, possibly people who watch this. I don't know who watches us anymore. Like, if any Democrat watches us, I don't know if they're going to believe that. But the Democratic Party is more about elitism than any other party. So, than the other party. There's more, I think, Republican senators who are for the middle class, and there are Democrat senators who are for the middle class, but it's not by like a large margin. Mostly all of them are out for themselves. So, I mean, it's hard to get anything done in America anymore because, I don't know. It's just...
If anybody in power actually gives a shit about the country as a whole, you're going to care about the middle class. The middle class is what built America. I mean, granted, the upper echelon, invests and pays for everything, but it's the middle class and lower class because, just because you're lower class or low class or whatever at the bottom doesn't mean you're bad. I mean, some people are, I don't even know if lower class, I don't think lower class is the right term. Lower income. But like that could be like you're younger and you're just getting into a trade or something like that. So you're building yourself up into the middle class, and then upper middle class, and then the world. But if you actually give a shit about the country, you care about everybody because the middle class, lower income people built the country. They build everything. They do everything. They're the little drones. That's why in Congress or communists and socialist countries nobody gets any better, but like you're forced to go do it. Like they have to have people. Like, yeah, they have all the power. You don't have any freedom, but they force you to do stuff because they have to have people to do all the stuff they want to do. So if you actually care about the country, want it to be a prosperous country, you're automatically going to take care of the middle class and try to get it to where we just have a middle class and hopefully one day we don't have low income.
So, speaking of how they don't care, we're in a recession, or at least we're very near being in a recession. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think we have to wait till July to actually find out if we're in a recession right now. So fingers crossed, right? Yet our elected officials sent $40 billion to Ukraine to an unwinnable war. At least they're not winning the war, nor I don't think they have a chance of winning. When most of the population is struggling, why in God's name would they do this? Is this some kind of filtering mechanism, you think, for them to put money in their pockets or their lobbyist pockets or their lobbyists to put to their their campaign funds? I mean, is this just a legal way to launder money, you think, or is this actually helping Ukraine in some way?
I would say, and I have no proof of it or whatever, but out of the 40, other than the actual physical stuff we give them, which I guess goes into that money.
Hold on, I'm gonna correct myself here. I think it's going to be 50 billion because I think they're sending another 10. So,
well,
go on.
We need more. I would say probably 10% of that money actually goes to Ukraine. Everything else gets sent back. It gets funneled through the Ukrainian government. And I wouldn't be surprised if at least half of that ends up back in the United States, somehow in the pocket of all these politicians that are pushing this war. I mean, there's not going to be any way to prove it unless they ever caught them doing it. But yeah, I don't know. We're just spending money, like stupid amounts of money, and we have so many problems in this country to where it's like the problems that we're having right now, I could give a shit about spending money or sending money to Ukraine. Like all the people like One-Eyed Jack, can't remember his name.
Crenshaw.
Crenshaw, like, oh, we have to do this because you don't want Putin to just be able to do whatever he wants. It's like, well, depending on which conspiracy theory
he's already doing whatever he wants,
prescribes to. But he was saying like, Russia doing whatever they want on the world stage. Well, yeah, there's a bunch of floating conspiracy theories around there. Pay attention to all of them. But doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the dude is still months later still fighting with Ukraine. So your whole he can do whatever he wants around the world is bullshit, because if he could, he would have wiped Ukraine out in a week. So something weird's going on, and like we finally get out of a war, did it in like the drunken, most stupid, asinine way possible. That you're talking about $40-50 billion there, $80 billion over in Afghanistan. I mean, and then just hundreds of thousands of people flooding into the country every month. So yeah, I mean, oh, and by the way, your little right-wing conspiracy theory that we're going to a recession, Kevin. I listened to the press secretary. We are not in a recession. We are in a transition. And when the transition is over, everything's going to be prosperous. I don't know what she's talking about. Great Reset, World Economic Forum. But I'm just saying, she said there's no recession. It's a transition. So you're spinning lies, my friend.
Just want to point out a little fun fact.
Facts are not fun, Kevin.
Well, this one's definitely not fun. The ruble's worth more right now than it was before Trump was president. So,
well, that's because Putin's friends with Trump.
So what's happening now? What's happening now is he's shutting down all gas lines to Germany and France. So they're going to be totally shit out of luck. So eventually, all of Europe's going to cave, and so this war is going to be for basically nothing.
See, now I do remember Trump talking about his best friend, buddy Putin, that you should buy your natural gas from us instead of Putin. And then they were super stupid and closed down all their nuke plants. But I remember him saying something to that effect, like, you should buy your gas from us so you're not held hostage by, whatever. And since Putin is super good friends with Trump, he's just proven Trump's point to help him out in 2020. That's what this is, Kevin. This whole thing.
Oh, it's
Russian collusion to get Trump reelected in 2024. Because what he's doing is like, see, Trump is right. You guys need to reelect him. We just figured it out. Oh my God.
We did. Oh my God.
There's going to be a hit on us. This is
Alert
huge.
The presses. Alert the presses. Well, the fun thing is we can't even, supply enough natural gas for ourselves to where, we actually have, a surplus. We have to buy everything from somebody else too. So
Yeah,
even though
you
we got
brought it up
plenty,
before, Kevin. We don't have enough natural gas. That's why.
yeah, yeah, only like 3 trillion cubic feet of it or something.
Apparently, that's not much. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the.
I don't know. I don't know if it's that much. It might be 3 billion cubic feet, but it's a lot. It's an amount.
I say,
Obviously not enough.
I'm betting you're probably correct on the trillion part.
Well, I
we
mean,
do have
there's
huge. I think we actually do have the world's largest deposit of natural gas. I think that is true.
yeah, natural gas, and we have a pretty big deposits of oil as well.
I think we might have the largest on oil if we tap the places that we could.
You mean like Alaska?
Alaska, off the coast of California.
Yeah. Yeah. We have plenty to sustain ourselves. This is what I love about these people that are like, oh, we don't have, I don't know, something stupid about fucking, the whole world is, paying for high prices in gas. I'm like, well, dummies, we're sitting on a bunch of it. We're just not tapping into it. And also oil companies, well, even that, oil companies aren't building new refineries because when Joe Biden specifically says we're going to shut down our oil and natural gas, why the fuck would they build a refinery or even outfit the ones they have to produce more, gasoline and shit like that to refine it? I mean, if somebody's going to destroy you, wouldn't you go for all the profit you can right now? If somebody's out to shut you down?
Yeah, you think so, but it's not. It's not just that. I mean, it's companies like BlackRock. I think we brought up last week.
You mean the large percentage holder of Exxon?
Yeah, like they actually, which, like, I don't know. That's like legislation that could actually fix something. Like you pass legislation saying that only individual shareholders can have a say on the board, not these big ass investment conglomerates. Like, there's an idea. But
well, that won't happen because you know how much money fucking BlackRock puts into politics.
Well, I know. That's why. I mean, I don't know. See, that's what's weird. So you think like people that give a shit would stop voting for idiots? Because it's like, how many times is a guy going to tell you he's going to do something, or a girl, and doesn't do it, and you just keep voting for him? Well, I'm going to do it this time, and you just keep voting for him. It's like, I don't know. I guess we'll have to see how it pans out in November, but it's like, I would think that the whole rest of the world. Actually, I don't think it kind of sounded like OPEC was going to increase production, but wasn't going to increase the supply they're giving the U.S. I could have sworn I read that somewhere. Maybe not.
They might, because I don't think anybody in the OPEC area or whatever they are, I don't think any of those countries really enjoy Joe Biden.
No, it's like Joe Biden's going over there to kiss the ring of the Saudi Arabian prince, even though he called him a murderous tyrant or something for allegedly, probably did, murdering that reporter.
Yeah, but it's kind of biting him in the ass now.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man. I know I said you were like a murderous whore, but is there any way you can give me some more of that sweet, sweet oil? Because I ain't gonna use ours. No, we're gonna be running our cars on leprechaun dreams and unicorn farts. It's powerful stuff, man. Powerful stuff.
So let's go with this. So
leprechaun dreams and unicorn farts.
Yes, I wish. I also want to mention when you said guys or gals that we are an equal opportunity podcast, so we believe everyone can be an idiot.
That's not a lie.
So being that people can be paid off, politicians especially, should there be term limits? Should it be like the president where you can go 2 terms, or I guess maybe 8 years worth of, you can go 8 years or something like that, or maybe 6 years for Congress, or, I mean, this lifetime or this 40 years of being in political office is ridiculous.
Well, and you got to think, especially because it doesn't take long people to go to Washington and become out of touch with the real world, which, as they say, is like the biggest problem in Washington is that's like a bubble of dumbass, and they can't see through the impermeable shield of dumbassery. But I would say, let's say 12 years. So you get 6 terms as a congressperson. But I do believe, I'm not exactly sure. I think is it the 14th? I think it's got a 4. It's either the 14th, 24th. Whatever amendment they did to the Constitution that gave the right of the people to vote for senators there needs to be a new amendment that repeals that. That's not why the Senate exists. It's supposed to be the Senate is the voice of the states, the House is the voice of the people, or the Congress, and that needs to go back to the way it was. That way, it doesn't matter if you get some jackass in the because you're still like half-ass picking your senators because you're electing your state representatives. But I think that needs to go back because that way, if you have a senator like I don't know, was it Robert Corning or something?
I don't know. Joni Ernst has voted for that stupid bill too, so I'm not very happy with how Iowa did on
That's what I'm
that either.
saying. Like that jackass here from Texas needs to be repealed. Then he goes to that
Yeah, we have
RNC thing.
Grassley and Ernst. Great. Way to go, Iowa, you dumbasses.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, this is what we need. I'm like, nah, you're stupid. That doesn't address the problem at all. And you're just like opening the door to more bullshit. But like that guy went to an RNC committee and was booed and all this stuff. And he's like, I don't succumb to mobs and blah, blah, blah. It's like, that wasn't a mob. That was your constituency telling you that you're a loser, backstabbing piece of shit.
Well, rhinos, man.
Yeah, and like he was pretty straightforward up until this. And then he makes a bunch of bullshit excuses, which, right there, when he said he's going to vote for it, if he was a state representative and you had actual state senate or Congress that represented the people, they could pull his ass back because they can pull him
Exactly.
back at any time. Nope, you're out. Send someone else in that's going to vote the way Texas wants them to vote or Iowa.
And that's how it should be.
That's why there's only 2
When did
senators per state, and it's not a
yeah,
That's why it's not a representation of
no,
like
it's
the
a state.
population.
Yeah, has to do with how your state
We need
votes.
to start a movement to repeal that part of that amendment.
No, because I don't. I'm not. It's hard to go back and try to any amendment. I wouldn't know if I want to repeal because that
You can't
just
repeal
leaves
an
the
amendment,
door
Kevin.
open
You
to.
can just add to the
You
Constitution.
have to write a new one. You have to write a new one to repeal it, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like a new amendment that discounts the
Cancels out the
original.
old
Yeah.
one. So
That's how alcohol
so
went from being legal to illegal to legal.
so talking about rhinos, Republican in name only.
Right, stupids.
What's worse? Are they worse, or is a progressive Democrat worse?
Rhino all day long because you like, I mean, I would just lump them in as a progressive Democrat, but the problem is like you can't, you're never really sure who they are. I mean, granted, Romney, who's just, I mean, sorry to say, Utah, he's making y'all look like a bunch of dumbasses. So if you reelect that piece of shit, just know we're all going to think you're stupid.
They've been doing it for years. Why would they stop now?
I don't know. You get tired of being
Fuck.
embarrassed by some jerk off.
Freaking Mormons.
I know, right?
Get TV. Do they have TVs? Yeah,
Yeah,
they have
TV.
TVs.
These are just Mormon. I mean, it was a weird.
They believe. I don't know. They believe some dude dug up some gold tablets.
You are horrendously intolerant, Kevin. They have a lot of wives, some of them, but they have TVs. That's stupid. Now,
I think I got to mix it up with the Amish.
yeah, the Amish don't have TVs. The true Amish don't have TVs.
Yeah.
But no, I would say they're worse because then you don't know. Like you think, oh, this. Like, here's what I understand. So, this thing that the rhinos, like Mitch McConnell and the other pieces of shit, just like him in Washington, that are voting for this gun legislation, out the door, it's unconstitutional. There needs to be punishment, like jail time, if you're a representative and you pass a bill that is blatantly unconstitutional because it goes against search and seizure, you can't just come in and take your
Yeah.
shit. That's unconstitutional. And if you're going to change, like, if you want to pass an unconstitutional law, you need to change the Constitution. If you pass an unconstitutional law, the assholes that voted for it should be kicked out of Congress or kicked out of Senate because you're working against the Constitution. How is that not insurrection? You know,
Yeah.
you're actively
I,
working against the Constitution, which is what the
knowing
country
it,
is.
you can't say these idiots don't have plenty of like legal aids and stuff like that to where, you know, they don't know this is unconstitutional. They're just doing it. They're just being complete pricks about it, trying to pass. I don't know why. I mean, I get the heat of the moment, you know, whatever, but it's just sickening, really. And I agree, rhinos are by far worse than progressive Democrats because at least I know what a progressive Democrat is about. A rhino can like vote, you know, yay for something I agree with, then the next week of write a fucking gun bill, you know, and red flag laws that are totally unconstitutional. You don't know what they're about. They're not for the people, you know, they're not listening to who they represent. They're just doing whatever probably lobbyists probably, you know, gave them some money.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's
So speaking of lobbyists, are they ruining the government? Is that what's? Do you think that's the major push from? I mean, lobbyists have been here for a while, but do you think lobbyists are the reason a lot of things don't get done? I feel like money is Congress people are making more money than they should by far, especially those who have been in power for, let's say, 10 plus years. And they're making most of this money through, you know, book deals that no one buys and shit like that. But I think it's more the lobbyists paying them, let's just say, dark money.
yeah. I see. I think lobbyists are like, it's kind of like they're the drug, and the congressmen, senators, all that stuff are the addicts. Like, yeah, they're bad, but technically a lobbyist is just somebody who goes to Washington to lobby on behalf of whatever. And yeah, they might offer money or do this stuff or that, but ultimately it's the people, the representatives that are taking the money or the drug and voting the way that they want. That's why we don't have like a true you really don't have a true democracy because it's like corporations, lobbyists, stuff like that that run the country. That's why when Biden's like, we need to go against the gun lobby that spent like, I don't know,
13.5
thirteen
million.
point five million. Pfizer only spent, I don't know, 350 million.
360
Yeah.
million. 360 million now.
I mean, it's all, but really, if you get elected to office, you get your salary. You can't have any investments unless it's done completely separate by like an what is those? RI. Like your retirement shit where somebody else invests money for you.
Oh, IRA.
Got my letters mixed up. But
Hey, dyslexic.
but something like that, like, to where it's like, yeah, you can have your money invested, but you can have no say in it. If you're caught like giving your stockbroker a tip, then you're out and you go to jail. Like there needs to be anything. Now this is like a hard line, look at it, but like anytime somebody does something, if you're voting against your constituents, or you're voting for something that's not in the best thing for the country because you got money from a lobby, something like that, that goes against the country, which could be considered treasonous. That's how you get like, our culture and our government is slowly eroded and government's got big and the power of the people's gotten small. It's because of shit like this. So it's an attack on the country. And, you can call it what it is, but that's what it is. And these people need to go to prison for that shit. It's like you go being a congressman or congressperson or a senator or even the president is a privilege given to you by the people. And if you fuck that up, or if you go there and you're just there to make money, or you caught doing dirty deeds, it needs to be like 10 or 20 years in prison. I don't even care if it's just like, well, it's only $100,000. I don't give a shit. It's like, I would make the penalty so severe that if you even thought of like betraying the country just to make yourself rich, it's not worth it.
Let's go with this. Should they be able to buy stocks? So buy and sell stocks?
No, I think it has to be completely separate. Like, you can give your money, like I was saying, this is kind of what I was just talking about. You obviously aren't listening, Kevin.
I am not.
No, like, you can give your money to an investment firm, but you can have zero input in that investment firm.
I don't know. I think even that
would be the only like fair way I could see doing it.
I could see a retirement fund, but I don't know about actually playing.
Yeah, did you not remember the whole IRA thing?
No, I know. I got it. No, I'm just saying, like, I agree with that, like the IRA, but that's a retirement fund. What I'm talking about is like you can actually invest.
No, I don't think. I think if you're a sitting representative, you should not be able to do anything with stocks.
I agree.
Because that's basically insider trading, because you're making the decisions on the regulations that will make something go up or down.
But right now they can. So it seems like this is a big money scheme being in.
Well, that's what I think is funny, because like people ask like Nancy Pelosi or something. It's like, they're always like, well, the rich are getting rich and blah, 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 blah. And insider trading and, what do they call it? Crony capitalism. Well, that's exactly what they're doing. And her response to it was like, well, yeah, but we can. Oh, okay. So you spout off a bunch of BS, but you still do it because you can. Okay.
But the fucking her being the crypt keeper, she has like $4,000 worth of fucking ice cream in her goddamn fridge. Fuck them rich people, whenever her fucking teeth fall out, she can't afford to fix it, but she can't afford fucking, I don't know, Taiwanese fucking.
I don't know what it was. It's very fancy. It's got real fruit, Kevin. Real chunks of fruit.
Exactly. Okay, well, a few things have happened lately that have made me question some of the agencies the government is in control of, specifically the DOJ and the FBI. Have they become a weaponized arm for the executive branch?
Yeah, I think they've been a weaponized arm for the Democrats. Probably, well, shit, I would say just by the way how was it, Eric Holder? So probably since Obama. Like, they were definitely weaponized during Trump, but they were just weaponized against him and got carried through. But yeah, they are. I mean, it's so blatant, and it's like, that's what, like, we tell people. It's like, yeah, you might be a left-wing Democrat who either got brainwashed or you're dumb.
Maybe you're just a center Democrat that somehow, I don't know, maybe you just didn't realize how far left you guys gone. I mean, it happens. You just don't.
Well, the problem is, though, when they're going after these people and like they're using the FBI and they're like, yeah, we need to arrest him, or the January 6th people need to be in prison, even though Colbert's people did the exact same, were charged with the exact same thing, we're out the next day. You cannot support that shit. You have to demand equal treatment under the law, because you never know, that might swing the other way, and then you'll be sitting here and like all these, probably rightfully so, left-wing people and actual domestic terrorists that burn down buildings, murder people, stuff like that, might actually get charged.
Not parents, they're
not parents. More the burn down federal courthouses and shoot people kind of people.
Oh, not parents though, because I was just about to celebrate that both me and you are not domestic terrorists because we aren't parents. So
that is true.
All you parents out there, how dare you?
How dare you? Even though I do 100% agree with everything they say about how the left is totally indoctrinated children and
Speaking of January
Just
6th, let's loop back
ruined.
to last week a little bit. Again, if you haven't seen last week's episode, watch it. Did you hear that the Washington D.C. PD had undercover officers in the crowd as well?
No.
They confirmed that.
So how many?
It was.
How many
I feel like
government
it was
employed
mostly
people were in the
I feel
crowd?
like it was mostly government agency now.
Now I'm starting to wonder if they were the assholes breaking out the glass that were all kitted out.
They were just supposed to be there to document and film.
See, here's the thing too. So that's
100% confirmed.
I don't know.
That's not a conspiracy. That was 100% confirmed. They said.
But here's the thing, though. Obviously, people are upset, right? So, how are you not? How is that not entrapment?
I don't know.
You have FBI, you have now Washington D.C. police in the crowd, and they're just letting people commit crimes, and so they can go again. That falls right into it. Like they're setting people up. Now, granted, people are emotional, and we talked about like the crowd theory and stuff like that, but it's like they just egged it on. Like I don't know what the police were doing. That maybe they were to was that mall cop thing?
Paul Blart?
Observe.
Oh, observe and
yeah,
report.
Paul Blart. Observe and report. But like, I'm pretty sure the FBI was actually egging people on. Like, I don't understand why everybody who got arrested for January 6th actually their case hasn't been thrown out because of government coercion.
Because the government is doing the cases.
Well, yeah. Well, that's a problem too when you're holding these, like that guy that used to work for Clinton, that the lawyer that they're like, oh no, he didn't lie to the FBI, even though he's like on tape lying to the FBI. So they go to Washington where there's a bunch of dipshits like, well, yeah, but I don't think he lied to the FBI. I mean, he just lied to the FBI, so I can't find him guilty. Like stuff like that. But it's like, here's the thing that's scary. So, and I don't know, maybe they indoctrinated FBI, DOJ. I mean, our attorney general, he's an idiot.
Eric Garland.
I am so happy.
Is that him?
Oh my god, I am so happy that dumb bastard isn't a Supreme Court justice. He's a grade A piece of shit.
Yes.
Just horrible.
Oh yeah.
But like you have all these FBI agents like doing all this shit. It's like, really? You're that dumb to think that, oh, these are domestic terrorists. I got to go in here and set them up because they're ruining the country. Like, that's what's disappointing. You got all these field agents that are actually following this shit. And, like, either they're just pieces of shit. They hired people that have a certain, I don't know, maybe then when they take your little site eval, it's like, yep, this person's easily manipulative. They'll believe whatever the hell we tell them. Let's hire him. Because that's what's scary about it. When you have the government agents, people in the field following shit that is blatantly bogus. That's what's scary about it. But that's just me.
So, speaking of Supreme Court justices, we have a president and plenty of, let's say, Democratic Congress people telling citizens to go to Supreme Court houses, Supreme Court judges' houses to protest the Roe versus Wade leak, which how they not found out who leaked it yet is beyond me. How is this tolerated? How is this even legal? I don't understand, because you can't go to a private residence. I mean, you can't support it. I can see it might happen just naturally, but you shouldn't support it as another government branch. Like, one government branch should not be pitted against another government branch. It just seems, I don't know, dumb as shit. It just seems like this is crossing a line that should not be crossed.
It is a line that should not be crossed because it's a felony to protest outside a federal judge's house. They've like that's an actual thing because that's considered what's coercing a federal judge, like trying to change their opinion on something. So yeah, them going, even if it's in the street, doesn't have to be up in the up in their property. you flat out cannot protest or harass a federal sitting judge. Like, you just can't. That is a felony. Those people, anybody protesting outside of Kavanaugh's house should be arrested. And that's another thing. That's a law. And you have people in Congress and the president like making, I don't know if the president was dumb enough to actually like say he's go over there and do it. But he's like, well, people are mad. They got to protest. But it's like, it's kind of like when these congressmen and senators pass a bad law or a president does something that's like blatantly stupid. They pass a law. It's horrible. It ruins the country, ruins people's lives. Some people lose their car, lose their house, whatever. And there is no consequences for them being stupid at all, other than they might get voted out. And then they become a pundit on CNN or MSNBC, occasionally Fox. But it's like there's no repercussion for being stupid. And there needs to be like real, like, this is a bad idea. We need to do it. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, that is a felony. You cannot protest or harass a federal sitting judge.
You can't coerce a judge into. You can't intimidate. You're not supposed to intimidate a judge to rule one way or another. So,
no.
So the fact that our crappy other bodies of government are pushing for this it's sickening. It's what it is. It's I don't know. It's just garbage. These people are garbage.
Yeah, if law was divvied out equally, Maxine Waters would be in jail, or at least indicted.
Yeah, but they're not.
Like, she flat out told people to harass other people.
Schumer said there's
and that opens the door to all kinds of stuff.
Schumer said to go to Kavanaugh's house.
Yeah, see what Schumer said? That dude should actually be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, because he actually said that there will be repercussions. Go to their house.
Yeah, you could easily take what he said out of context, and you could connect the guy who went to Kavanaugh's house to kill him and link it back to what Schumer said. If a Republican would have said that, they'd have their little committee, and they'd be going after him.
Somebody at this... All right. So, because the internet is garbage, and there's garbage people on the internet, I was conversing with one person. They're like, what's the big deal? He didn't do it. I was like, okay, it wasn't for a lack of trying. She's like, well, he had protection. I'm like, I'm sure Reagan felt the same way before he was effing shot. He had protection, but he still got shot. And she goes, well, Reagan wasn't killed. I'm like, again, not for a lack of trying from the shooter.
So she's totally fine if somebody shoots her as long as she doesn't die.
That's what I said. I'm like, so you're cool with somebody that's going up to your house, about to murder you, but there's a couple police that are like maybe across the street doing something else. But he's like, all right, well, maybe I'll have a change of heart. But you were within, 15 minutes of dying, or your family was, and you have no problem with this. Like,
that's going to be your defense if she ever shoots. Your Honor, but he didn't die.
He didn't die.
But did he die?
Yeah. Not like, what the fuck, people?
People are stupid.
I don't understand it. Like, are you that dedicated to one thing or another? Are you that dedicated to killing babies that you don't mind if they kill somebody else to make sure it happens? It doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense to me.
That whole thing does. We might actually have to do.
We might do.
I think we should do an episode on abortion, just kind of like explain what it is, because a lot of people don't know. That's why the people are against the heartbeat laws.
Well, they don't know what Roe versus Wade actually is. They
don't know Roe versus Wade.
Sorry for moving around, but my niece.
People aren't pro-choice. Like the pro-choice people, they're not pro-choice. They're pro-abortion. They're pro-killing babies, because it's not like, now granted, there are probably some people that are pro-choice that like think that, well, they should be able to have that choice. You shouldn't have a choice when it comes to sticking an experimental chemical in your body, but they should have that choice. But most of them are just flat out abortion. That's why pro-life or pro-choice people don't like these heartbeat laws, because a lot of mothers, once they hear the heartbeat, are like, oh, it's a baby. I'm not going to have an abortion. And for whatever reason, they're mad about that. Like, they're mad people aren't having abortions, and that is fucking weird.
I don't know what it is.
We need to have an episode about that.
We need to have a whole episode of
weird.
why are people trying to kill off other people, like governmental, like through these laws and shit like that. Like,
I mean, I don't know if it's still true today, but I mean, the lady who founded Planned Parenthood, she pushed abortion because she wanted to. She was a huge racist and wanted to weed out the black community.
Yeah, so they're all about her. So
yeah, that's probably worth a interesting, fiery episode.
Speaking of the dude that tried to kill Kavanaugh, do you think red flag law would have prevented something like this? Because some Republicans do, 13 of them to be exact. Is this the next Patriot Act? Is this a way for the government to intercede where they shouldn't, maybe against your basic American rights?
Well, the funny thing is I think this law isn't actually the law is vague as shit. Like it pretty much puts a lot of stuff on the states, and it gives the states a monetary incentive to create red flag laws. The Patriot Act is way worse, and if they brought that shit up today with how the government has used it and is acting now, there's no way in hell that would have passed. But red flag laws would not. Well, I don't know. You could argue that if the people in this kid's life actually was like, "Hey, this dude's crazy. He somehow bought $9,000 worth of guns, ammo, and armor. You should probably take a look at him." But there's red flag laws in New York, and that guy was batshit crazy, and everybody knew about it. He made it kind of public that he was batshit crazy, and guess what? Red flag laws didn't work. So no, they don't work. I mean, they
that
work.
Guy had more followers than we did.
Well, and there's a yeah, no shit. What the fuck? But like, it's because we're being shadow banned. That's the only reason.
That's the only reason
this show isn't taking off to the moon. Because we're not going anywhere.
Now, I don't care if only one of you people are listening to it, and it's me. We're doing this.
No, but like, there's a stipulation in there too, because there is a thing where here's what I understand too. So if you ever get charged, or there's like say like domestic abuse, or like I mean, if you're a domestic abuser, you're a piece of shit anyway. But if you have like certain things now that you're charged with, they'll take your guns away, even if it has nothing to do with a gun. But like they said there's a boyfriend clause in there to where now like, and this is where the red flag call comes up, and that's why like there's not really saying like if you give a false accusation, what that punishment is. If you give a false accusation on a red flag law, before it's struck down in the Supreme Court because it's 100% unconstitutional bullshit. But let's say you try it in that window and you make a false accusation, you're actually get 20 years in prison.
I agree. If you're
just like before, the consequences should be so harsh that if you're going to do it, you better make sure it's legit. And like I said, it still doesn't matter because it's still bogus as hell. You can't just come in and take someone's shit.
Let's say somebody, we have guns. Let's say...
No, I don't.
I got rid of mine. But let's say we had guns, all right? And somebody just disliked the show. They could easily call and report us.
Kevin, based on the red flag laws in certain states, I'm pretty sure they could just watch the show and they're going to be coming for you. So.
I think they already are.
That gentleman's mentally unstable. Of course, you were not the one in an episode wearing body armor, so I may actually be the one that's in trouble. Damn it! It was theatrical. And fake
beards. This guy can't figure out if he wants a beard or not.
It was all for entertainment and theatrics. What the hell?
Oh, we're on a list. So it won't take much for somebody to come bust into our house. We're going to get swatted.
It's like, damn it. It's like they fell in the lake.
Yeah.
That's such a lame thing. It's like, no. They're abducted by aliens. They didn't want me. They wanted my fire.
I don't know. I think this is I think red flag laws are a slippery slope. I think it's one one moment from the government being like, all right, well, if you're in the age range of 25 to 45 and you have a weapon, we don't trust you. So we're just going to take it.
Well, here's the thing, though. It's like a door jam thing. I don't know if that's really kind of like a foot in the door kind of thing. What they do is they pass all these like just totally worthless gun laws. They don't do shit. But the door's open now. And then like, oh, we gotta do this, we gotta do this. And like I said, they'll pass all the gun laws in the world, not gonna affect gun crime because, like we've said, there's more likelihood of a cop breaking the law than a concealed carry person. And they're just like, well, the only way we're going to be able to stop gun crime is to take all the guns. Like
That's where the end
that's
goal
what that is.
That's
It's
the end goal. To where I am. This is why I'm so sick of these rhinos just even going for this shit, because the one thing that Republicans have always held firm on, no matter how much of a piece of shit they were, was the Second Amendment. Their belief that any law-abiding citizen should be able to buy a gun. And these 13 senators or Congress people, was it through the Senate or was it through the House? It was through the Senate, right?
it went through the House like
Yeah.
hot knife through
It
butter.
went right through Senate too, didn't it? Yeah, because Mitch McConnell was on it.
Well, it did, but here's the thing too. They voted on it like an hour or two after they released the bill. And it wasn't a long one, but you have to read it.
Hold on.
Then you have to think about it and look at the implications.
The guns didn't even get mentioned until page 25. Up until page 25 was all pork belly or pork. I say pork belly, but was just bunch of it's just a bunch of fucking money going towards bullshit. And if you're not going to take,
that's another thing. We need to get rid of that. Like, I would say now there are some states out there that have like nothing, and that's why not many people live there. But like this whole federal spending shit and this and that and this and that, like they really need to cut that Nebraska. Shit back. Just saying, they got corn.
Yeah.
Well, hell, they got one of the. I thought they had one of the country's biggest feedlots.
They might.
But like, no, anything in the middle of the country. That's why I like all these people. Like, they keep acting stupid. Like, here's what's going to happen. Let's say we go just full dumbass. Okay.
Nope. We're not there yet.
The middle of the country. Well, we are kind of there. But let's say flyover country has had enough. Coming in the summer of 2024.
Yeehaw!
Secession. But let's say, here's what's going to happen. You have flyover country. So the whole middle of the country will secede from the coastals, which we still have quite a bit of coast. Because really, I think we have a lot of the East Coast. Like it kind of drops off around well, North Carolina, maybe that might be where it starts turning.
Maybe Virginia, probably Virginia, right?
Yeah. I mean, but Virginia didn't elect a Republican governor, so. But
yeah.
Basically, what would happen is we would be fine because there's a shit ton of oil, there's a shit ton of farmland, and the coastals would pretty much starve to death. I'm like, nope, you can't come in. We have a closed border.
They can fish.
They could fish. There'd be a bunch of Tom Hanks from Castaways.
Yes.
There already are a bunch of dirty hobos on the West Coast. Just thought about it, like, oh, they all look like that anyway.
Well, at least they got plenty of fertilizer to put in their crappy ass soil.
You know, I will say though, if that was his real hair and I was Tom Hanks, I would have kept that haircut over that stupid ass haircut he had from
Da Vinci Code.
Da Vinci Code.
Oh my god.
I
think we talked about this last week too. But
we did. It's just so horrible. It's worth bringing up again.
God, that was the worst haircut in a movie. I'm like, what's he doing? Like, what is this? Why is he?
But like, yeah, I mean that's you keep pushing and like that's what it's going to be. I mean, hell, there was some. I need to find the article because I get that like breaking headline news and all it is links to Epic News and you got to pay for their shit. But there's some military general saying like we need to get this stuff under control and people need to like stand up and take the country back because like we're down a path to where shit's going to get bloody. Because if you look, people. I mean, we're not talking about fellow Americans that disagree anymore. Like, and not us, I mean, Grant, we think people on the far left are a bunch of psychopaths, but they're not as big of a group as people think they are.
No, I'm anywhere from like liberal to anywhere right. I can pretty much find some common ground with. It's when they're far left and just
Someone would have to be pretty far left for me not to, like I have friends that are on the left side of the spectrum, and I think politically and their outlook on the country and the world is kind of dumb. I could be friends with anybody, but the people that are out here on the fringe, they're just like they're not there. But he's like, if we don't get this back, eventually, I mean, you have the left now, like people in power, the president, calling half the country domestic terrorists.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Trump got a shit ton of votes. I mean, not 83 million.
Well,
But
that's
like,
even
MAGA
suspect.
country, well, but MAGA country makes up arguably 49% of the company or
Country.
49% of the country.
Yeah.
49, 60, 70, I mean, whatever. But like he's now calling MAGA people terrorists. So, and I don't consider myself a MAGA person. Like, what?
He called ultra MAGA people fucking terrorists.
Ultra MAGA! Fuck yeah!
What the fuck's an ultra MAGA?
Are those the people with the hat?
I don't know. Like, I don't have a hat.
I don't feel like we could be considered ultra MAGA.
I'm not even MAGA. I mean, I want to make America great
I'm
again.
MAGA. I want to make America great again.
Yeah, why is
Obviously,
that a bad
we're not
thing?
right now. I know. It's like, oh, how dare you?
I mean, I'm not I like Trump's policy. I just didn't I don't really like the dumb shit he did. The tweeting and allow all this shit that took him away from all the good he did is, I don't know.
Now here's the thing.
I don't know. I don't know if he would have been the same president without doing that shit, because when you don't give a fuck, you don't give a fuck.
No, it's him. It's his personality.
Yeah. So I don't know if maybe that was it. But it is what it is. It's a little better than the president we have right now, who is trying to take funding away from schools if they don't allow boys or boys, trans girls into girls' restrooms or vice versa. And so taking this funding away is mostly for food, like their free lunch programs and stuff. So basically, the only people this is really going to hurt are the poor people. Does our government hate poor people?
I think the Democrats do. Well, they want to make, and I think that goes back to that we're in a transitional stage, because like Clinton's Treasurer Secretary, Economic Advisor, whatever, says we need to have unemployment up at 6 or 10% to slow down inflation. So he's like, we need to have a shit ton of people unemployed, not making any money. But like, they don't give a shit about people. They want them broke. They want them poor. They want them dependent on the government. And if you're dependent on the government, you're an idiot, because even if you think like, well, I don't do shit and I sit around, I play video games all day, or I do whatever the hell I want. That's not going to be the way it is, because at some point the government has to have people do stuff or the whole country collapses. It doesn't matter if you're living in a total shithole communist country or a freedom saturated country like America. People have to do stuff to make stuff going. That's like the old saying, the world needs ditch diggers. Like, not like that whole fad about you have to go to college to do something. No, you don't. You can make more money than a doctor being a plumber.
Oh, yeah. I never went to school.
A master plumber, like if you go through trade school or a traveling welder, you can make a shit ton of money.
Yeah, I never went to college. Look at me. I'm middle class. And I got
moderately somewhat successful.
And I got my own podcast. So
that's right.
So look what two middle class guys did. They have a very limited watched podcast. American Dream.
That's because we're shadow banned. Shadow banned.
American Dream, buddy.
American.
But yeah, it does.
Basically what we're doing is we're just putting out a shit ton of video evidence for when they finally come first.
I can't wait. Yeah. So that'll be fun.
That's That's what we're doing. Yeah, I don't know. Like that's they. I don't think they do care about poor people, and I don't know. Like we keep saying it, we may have. See, I don't know. We're either gonna do a fun episode next week, or we're gonna do one on this gender shit.
Or China. Oh, we should do China here pretty soon.
Yeah, I know, but what's destroying the country and making us a laughing stock amongst the world is all this.
Trans shit.
Yeah,
Yeah. And if you actually do have like body or what is it, gender dysphoria, you know, it's I feel for you. Get some help.
yeah. I just think we need to talk about it. It's a huge cultural issue, and I think well, I don't know. It's going to come up within the next 3 episodes. We're going to have the gender bender episode.
Yes. So I'm on. We're at an hour. I want to make this a little shorter, so let's do this one real quick. When did patriotism die? I feel like it was at its height in 2001 after 9/11. What happened since then? How did we go from only 20, 21 years ago to this point to where people are blatantly hating on America? I mean, the flag, 4th of July, uh, kneeling for the national anthem. What happened? What happened to patriotism?
I mean, I think probably in the latter years of Bush, people started getting because the famous, "Hey man, I got my junk hanging out of my flight suit," mission accomplished thing of Bush. Uh, I think we were war weary then, and then under Obama, he just divided the shit out of the country over race and a bunch of bullshit. And then when Trump got in, it's just like trying to deal. Well, no, we are already.
Well, I think when
Everybody was
Trump got
getting.
in, I think the media got in.
That's when the afterburners hit it.
Yeah.
But before that, we were already being called like a racist country when Obama got elected. We elected our first black president, and all of a sudden, the country's racist and race relations go to shit. Wrap your brain around that.
You're
But
telling
as far as
people to connect point A to point B in a straight line when people like
this,
when people want to do this. Yeah. They just want to go squiggly, squiggly.
I mean, people have always been burning the flag, which now that I know, I actually didn't know this, but I do know why the national anthem means what it means. And now I can see like anybody who knows why the national anthem was written
Enlighten
and what it
us.
stands for. Okay, so national anthem. The reason why the words are what it is, the guy who wrote it was on a ship, on a British warship, negotiating a transfer of prisoners, British soldiers for American soldiers. And he said, "Yeah, we'll sign it, but it doesn't mean anything because we're going to blow up that fort. I don't know the fort's name, but it was right off the coast." And he goes, like, "How are you going to do that?" And he's like, "This is a family fort. It's not a military fort." Well, he goes, "You look over there, and basically the entire British Armada was coming in, and they were going to be within firing range in 2 hours." And he said, "If they lower that flag and you surrender basically to go under the crown, then we won't do anything." Well, obviously they didn't, and they just bombed the shit out of it. And the guy had gone down and talked into the prisoners, and he said, "This is what's going to happen." And then he told them, "Well, they're going to bomb it," and they just kept saying, you know, they kept asking about the flag because that was the thing. All they had to do was lower the flag, cannon fire stopped, and they'd stop. They'd let uh, the dust clear, and they'd see the flag. So then, I guess after a while, the guy's like, "What the hell's wrong with you people?" So he's like, and he knew that they were aiming, and they knew they hit the flag. He's like, "All right, aim every gun at this," and they just bombarded it for 2 hours. And when the dust cleared, and the bombs bursting in air, gave through the night that our flag was still there. That's what that's references to, because after all of that, the flag was all torn to shit and it was all cockeyed. Well, it turns out the reason why the flag never fell is because when it first got knocked down, Americans held the flag up And as they were getting hit because they kept aiming for the flag and people were dying, they'd move bodies aside and then more people would come in. But the next day it was all hanging jacked up because it was basically being held up by the slain American soldiers that would not let that flag fall. So when you think about, and when you know about it, you know what that song stands for and like the meaning of that flag to this country. That's why people get pissed off when people respect the flag and the national anthem. So, I mean, I'm kind of sad that I just found that out, but it's a great, it's a pretty good story. It gave me a lot more respect for it. So,
Absolutely, it hits the heartstrings. So
yeah, we had bad things when the country first started, but we were the first country. We progressed faster than any other country in the history of the world, especially when it came to getting rid of slavery and continuing. Like, we haven't been around that long. World history wise, we haven't been around that long.
no,
And that's why that flag means something and it stands for something. And it started something that made a land for the free. And that's why when people disrespect that, I feel like they're pieces of shit.
agreed, 100%. All right, well, I believe that's about it. So, you got anything else to add before we sign off?
No, other than I did want to say something. When you look at everything that's going on in the country and how bad things are, and they're trying to blame it on Biden, like you can see the left and the media starting to turn against him. It is not Biden. Only a moron thinks Biden's actually running the country. It is the Democrat Party and their current plan for the country. So, if you want to make a real change, if you're a lifelong Democrat, whatever, I know it hurts. You can't vote Democrat because right now the Democrat Party has been taken over the far left. That's what's running the country. It's not Biden. It doesn't matter. You replace Biden with a different Democrat, it's the same thing. I wanted to make sure I got that in.
Yes, agree. Vote in November and vote red. Not because you agree with all their, everything they say, but because you disagree with what this country's turning into.
Yeah, if anything in this election, vote red just to send a clear, unequivocal message to Washington. You're fucking up and we don't agree with what you're doing. Yes. I mean, the next election, do whatever you want, but like a message needs to be sent to Washington.
Yep.
Elephants!
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening as always. Again, like, follow, subscribe on all your major podcast platforms, YouTube, Rumble. Comment,
Truth.
Please. If anybody wants to be on this show, please let us know. You can either comment on one of our social pages or email us at, is it Lost Common?
Message us at lostcommon.com or the lostartofcommonsense.com and use the contact form.
Yes. So do one of those things. And thank you, everybody. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Josh.
And this was the Lost Art of Common Sense. Wow, everyone. Common sense.
We'll see you next week, everybody.